I gotta have some. Welcome to Macon. It is early in the morning for me. It really is, but it's okay. Let's delve into today's topic. We're going to talk about the Proverbs 31 woman, one of my favorite things recently to really delve into. I hope you enjoy this episode. So today we're going to talk about the Proverbs 31 woman, and I should have already been there in my Bible, and I'm not. But anyways, I wanted to talk about my recent blog post, the Proverbs 31 woman, and having her lifestyle with a little bit of reasonable independence. And when I say reasonable independence is because in today's society, a lot of times we're seeing people that, especially in women, where we feel like we have to be so independent from everything that we can't, we're not going to rely on a man to be there for us. We're super strong, we're whatever. And I agree with that. I have some independence. I've actually been accused by my daughter that I've put a little bit too much independence in her because she feels like she doesn't have to rely on anybody. So you got to be really careful with that independence. You still have to learn aspects of your marriage and things like that so that you can respect your husband, but still maintain some of that independence. And in this blog post, I talk about that. I talk about the importance of still maintaining that amount of reasonable independence. Reasonable independence, not this. Reasonable independence, so that we can still continue on with life and keep going the direction that we're supposed to be going without having to ask our husband to do every little thing for us, or asking others for things that we need. Now, if you see the glare on my glasses, I apologize. I have my computer over here opened up because I wanted to kind of refer back to the post just a little bit, just so I can go over it with you. The key thing that I found in this, and that's because Makin is about encouragement in your family, your marriage, your homemaking, and your ministry. And this post covers probably every category of what Makin is about. And so because of that, I feel like it's a key element of my blog, or I should say God's blog, because this is all about him. It's not about me. It's about giving you encouragement in your daily walk with God. And I hope that I do that. But in this post, one of the key elements to me is the part where it talks about that she brings him good, not harm. That is so important to me, because I have seen so many marriages where the wife is just so upset and she doesn't respect her husband. She does what she wants to do and she could care less about him. Now, granted, every marriage is not perfect, and I've got it. I understand. We've talked about it in our last video, the interview that I did with my husband. We had to work on our marriage. It wasn't something that overnight we just, oh, there it is. Yay, we got along. We're doing wonderful. We're doing great together. No, that's not how that worked. It took time. It took trial and error. It took us wanting to learn one another. It took us loving one another. And you know what? For this independent woman, for this strong-willed woman, it took a whole lot. It took a whole lot. It took me stepping back and giving in some things that I needed to give into. Thankfully, my husband is not overbearing. I'm sure he probably could be, but he's not. He loves me. And so bringing him good and not harm, I'm going to love him. I'm going to respect him. I'm going to go to him for counsel when counsel is needed. I talk about it in the post about how she goes and she goes and she buys land, but yet in the same time, I really feel like, even though it's not said there, I wouldn't doubt that I could see Sally, as we called her, I could see her being like, you know what, honey, let's go out. I've got a really good idea. Let me run this by you. I found some property over here that I think would be a really good deal. And I think that I could probably get it for a good price. And she probably went walking with him. Now, this is just all in my imagination and the things that I see, so just bear with me. But I wouldn't doubt that she went walking with him and took him by there and was like, you know what do you think about this? And maybe they prayed about it together. I mean, I don't know. The Bible's not clear on that. The point is, it's just giving a guide as to what the Proverbs 31 woman was about. And it's a guide to us as women today. If you're a man watching this, it's kind of a guide to you too, to make sure that you see what all that your wife has to do and the things that she puts in a lot of work. And honestly, I was very intimidated by the Proverbs 31 woman for years because I was like, there's no way. I can't live up to this woman. This woman look at all this stuff that she does. I mean, she's like a superhero. And as I said in my post, she's like She-Ra to me. And if you don't know who She-Ra is, please go look her up, because when I was a kid, I remember She-Ra very vividly. Now, can I go back and tell you what every episode was about, or if there was anything in it that was a little sketchy? I don't know. I just remember it as a kid. And she was a superhero, or she was a Wonder Woman. We could say a Wonder Woman. But that's what my brain has always registered that she was. But in reality, she's just showing you how that she can continue to do things, but yet work with others. So that was one of the key factors. Another key factor that I had in there was that she was committed to making the heart of her home, taking care of the heart of her home. She wanted to make sure that everybody was taken care of. She wanted to make sure they were clothed, they were fed. And I mean, as a mother, that's what we do. Really, instinct just kind of kicks in and we start wanting to take care of our family. In my home, sometimes I probably overdo it. At least my family says that I do, because I tend to want to do it all. If you are like me, I have a problem. I could delegate in some areas, but there's some areas I have a really hard time delegating. Like, I want things cleaned a certain way. I want things done a certain way. And so when I delegate those to other people and I go behind them and I see that it's not done exactly like I think, I have to bite my tongue, bite it off, because I want to say something, but I know better, because I'm thankful for the help. It's not that I'm not grateful for the help. It's my human nature. And if you don't do it, you're lying to yourself. But no, you may not be that way. I don't know. But anyways, for me, it's a hard thing for me to do. Same thing with the dishwasher. We have an ongoing joke here about our dishwasher, that when they load the dishwasher, I personally, we've been down this debate. I've had it with friends. I probably have a friend on here who's watching this video and she's probably laughing, thinking about it, because we've had a discussion about this very issue, that I scrub my dishes and then I put them in the dishwasher. Why do you do that? Well, I do it because I don't want the dishwasher to be dirty when they come back out. And that does happen sometimes. I know you may have the best dishwasher in the world. You may use the most expensive little pods that go in your dishwasher. But I'm telling you, even when my family sticks it in there, and even when they, just throw it in there for it to be done, some of my dishes still come out dirty. And then if somebody unloads the dishwasher, if they're not looking at it, then they stick it in the cabinet or they stick it in the drawer, and then there I find it, and then I'm like, and I get all grossed out, and then I have to rewash everything. And so it's an ongoing joke with us. So if you do, you do. If you don't, you don't. But anyways, it's neither here nor there. But the point is that delegating sometimes we just have to step back and we have to say, yes, it's great. I love the help. Thank you so much for the help, even if it doesn't get done the exact way that we think that it needs to be done. So, but going back to that, she just makes sure that everybody is taking care of her family. Don't overdo it. And that goes on to our next point, is that asking for help. Listen, mind blown. She had help, people. She took care of everybody in her home, and it still went on, and it said that she had help. I'm looking for it right now because I want to make sure that I quote it exactly right. Hang on just a minute. Bear with me. Give me a minute. Okay, right here. It says, she gets up while it's still night. And that does happen. I know how I am. I'm right now with life the way that it is. I'm very busy. I'm up at 4:30 in the morning, so there's no light outside. But she gets up while it's still night. She provides food for her family and portions for her female servants. And everybody knows what a servant is. Everybody understands what a servant is. A servant is someone who helps the master. She had help. And not only am I talking about asking for help just within your home, you should ask your husband to help you. You should ask your kids should have chores. I'm 100% behind that. I had chores when I was a kid. I may not have done to the best of my mom's ability. I don't know. I dusted and I folded, I think, some what we would call white clothes. I don't know. Some people separate their laundry, some people don't, but we did. And I would fold it and put it away. And my mom never complained. I don't know how she didn't complain, because I'm sure I didn't do it to the best of what she would think that it needed to be done, but I did it. But it doesn't hurt to delegate, to have chores, to ask your husband for help. But listen, if you start to feel burned out, if you start to feel overwhelmed, you need to ask for help. You need to be willing to seek help. There's nothing wrong with it. It doesn't make you a weaker woman. It doesn't make you a weaker man. It makes you stronger, actually, because you're acknowledging the fact, hey, I need a little bit of extra help. And you know what? God understands that, because he's here in his word. He's here. He's here. He's beside you every step of the way. We've talked about it in other blog posts about how that sometimes it feels like God isn't there, but he really is there with you every step of the way. And it doesn't hurt for you to step out and maybe get some counseling or some guidance from someone else or another coach, somebody that can help you see the reality of what your goals are and maybe help you learn where you might need to take this circle. Say you have a small circle and then you have a bigger circle on the outside of it. Once you label what's on the inside of the circle, this is the things that you can control. This stuff out here you can't control. And so the things that are on the outside of the circle, you may have to let those things go so that way you can focus on what's on the inside of the circle, the things that are the most important to you. And so that's where getting someone to help you see that and to make those things become a reality will help, so that you don't become burnout. Because when you become burnout, you're no good to your family. You're no good to anybody, because then you become frustrated and upset. And I'm just here. I'm being very honest with you. Personally, that's how I am. If I start feeling very overwhelmed or feeling like I can't go any farther, I tend to lash out at those that I love the most. And that's not right. It's not right. It's not something that I need to do. I need to be loving and caring to them. And so many times I will tell my family, I'll be like, I'm sorry, I just feel really overwhelmed right now. I really need some help. And you know what? That's all it took, because they were like, oh, okay, we'll pitch in, we'll help. And I'm like, that's all it took? I didn't have to get all upset and yelling and okay, well, you may not do that, but all this yelling and screaming and getting upset, I didn't have to do that, because technically they wanted to help. They just were like, well, Mom, you just do it all. So we didn't feel like we had to really do anything. So it's okay to do this. It's okay to have help. But listen, here's the thing that I want you to remember about the Proverbs 31. Out of everything that we've talked about here, and I try to keep these things within 15 minutes or less, but listen, the one thing that I want you to remember here, we've already discussed it. You want to love and respect with your husband. And look, I have tips on here on love and respect. Feel free to go in and get those tips. And when you sign up, all it does is sign you up for the blog to let you know when my new posts come out. I don't send a ton of emails out. I just want you to be able to get an update to say, hey, she's got a new blog post out, and that's it. You can sign up for my essential oils, because I don't put those out on Facebook or social media or anything like that anymore. I simply do those to the people that want them. But you can unsubscribe. Once you download it, if you don't want that stuff, just unsubscribe. It doesn't matter to me. It helps me by you subscribing. But if you don't, I'm not upset. I'll still be your friend, I promise. But listen, we talked about love and respect. We talked about taking care of our home and taking care of those people that we loved. And we talked about if you need help, get the help that you need. Don't try to do everything on your own, okay? Listen, you're not Superwoman. She wasn't a Superwoman. She just had a little bit of reasonable independence. She learned what she could handle. She learned how far she could go. She learned what she could do. She learned her boundaries. She learned what she was able to do. She took some of the load off of her husband. And if you are a pastor's wife, that's what we do. A lot of times we take the load off of our spouse because that's what we do. Take the load. But at the same time, we don't burn ourselves out and we don't get overwhelmed to where, we're taking it out on our children or we're taking it out on those that we love. But here's one of the most important things that we have right here. God doesn't demand perfection, but rather your sincere effort. He doesn't require us to be perfect. And keep that in mind, that he's always there for you and he will always be there for you. But perfection is not something that he requires. The Bible talks about striving for perfection, but we will not be perfect. But we can keep working towards perfection. But give it your best effort. I hope you'd enjoyed this today, and I will see you all again next time.